Okay, as we continued to eat and drink on that day, we sat around the table, and then Jesus said something else that was very strange, and it was embarrassing to me, Peter. He told me that before the rooster crowed in the morning, that I would deny him 3 times. I said, no, not me, not Peter. I would rather die for Jesus than to deny him. But he said that you would. Now, after we finished eating and drinking, Jesus wanted to go into the garden. So follow me into the garden. Now, he took the disciples with him. And as we approached the garden, he asked the others to stay back. He wanted me and James and John to go into the garden further with him. Then as we got deeper into the garden, he asked us to stay back and pray along with him as he went further into the garden. As he got into the garden, he got down on his knees and he prayed, "Why, Father? Why? Why must I do this? Why must I give up my life?" And Jesus knew that he had to make this sacrifice for us, that will give us our forgiveness for sins and will relieve us of every burden that we have here on earth. So after Jesus stopped praying, he went back out to the disciples, the 3 of us. But we had fallen asleep because we had eaten a heavy meal and were tired. And he said, "Couldn't y'all just stay awake with me for 1 hour and pray?" And we really felt bad. So Jesus went back into the garden again and prayed some more. "Father, why must I do this?" But Jesus knew in his heart again that he had to. Now he came back out once again to us for the second time and found us asleep again. Now this kind of perturbed Jesus, but he says, "Why didn't you stay awake with me for 1 hour?" So we went back into the garden again and prayed one more time. This time when he came back out, he noticed, and we noticed, that there were sounds coming from a distance. There were footsteps, there were torches, there were voices. And this was the Roman soldiers coming, along with the chief Pharisees and the priests, being led by Judas, who had betrayed Jesus. Now, Judas approached Jesus. But before that happened, the Roman soldiers said, "Who is Jesus?" But Judas walked up to Jesus and said, "This is Jesus," and he gave him a kiss. Now the Roman soldiers looked as Jesus said, "I am Jesus." And the Roman soldiers went to take Jesus. And Peter, who would give up his life for Jesus, took out his knife. And he went to defend Jesus. And he whacked off the ear of one of the servants. But Jesus told me to put my knife away. And he picked up the ear that had fallen off on the ground, reattached it, prayed over it, and it was made whole again. Then after that, the soldiers led Jesus away to Caiaphas' house, who was the head chief priest of that day. Now they put Jesus on trial for the things that they said he did, but he really didn't do anything. But while they were doing that, I was in the courtyard, and a little girl approached me and says, "Aren't you one of Jesus' followers?" And I says, "No, I don't even know the man." And then a woman came up, "Aren't you one of those disciple guys?" And again, I said, "I don't know him. I'm not one of his followers." And then another woman approached me and said the same thing, and I denied him again. And at that moment, the rooster crowed. And I knew that I had done something that I knew that I shouldn't have done. And at that point in time, I was very, very embarrassed. But now after the trial, they took Jesus to see Pilate. Now Pilate was the governor of Judea at that time. So they took him in to see Pilate. Pilate questioned Jesus, and he said, "Aren't you the king of the Jews? Aren't you the one that says you are the Son of God?" And Jesus says, "I am what you say I am." So Pilate questioned Jesus some more. And then he took him back out to the crowd. And he asked him, what would you have me do with Jesus? And the crowd said, crucify him, crucify him, crucify him. Now Pilate went back again with Jesus, and he talked to him again. And then Pilate just said, well, I'm just going to wash my hands of this. So he washed his hands and took Jesus back out. Now Pilate also knew that there was a tradition every Passover that they would let go one of the prisoners. So Pilate said, well, let's go get Barabbas. And they were going to let him go. And they said to the crowd, it says, well, we have this prisoner here, Barabbas. And we can let him go, or we can let Jesus go. Now, Barabbas was a murderer, a thief. He was one of the nastiest prisoners in the whole prison. So Pilate did that because he would thought that they would say, oh, let Jesus go, not him. But the crowd said, let Barabbas go. So Pilate said, well, what should I do with Jesus? And once again the crowd said, crucify him, crucify him, crucify him. So Pilate said to them, says, his blood is on your hands. So he washed his hands of it again.
Okay, now it's our time to tell you what we saw after that.
It was an awful sight. Now, being crucified was the absolute worst way to die.
Yes, it is the most painful, embarrassing, humiliating way that anyone could die. This kind of death they gave to the worst people on earth, really bad people. It was an awful way to die.
But Jesus was perfect. He never did anything wrong. He never sinned. Jesus was never mean to anybody. But still, they crucified him.
Okay, so now we are going to go to the place where they crucified Jesus and see how it all happened. So boys and girls, I want you to line up.